10 seconds. Coming up here on the Braves Sports Network, 91.7 WPRL and WPRL.org, we have Alcorn Head Men's coach Jake Morton. He'll be joining us shortly. We'll talk about scheduling. We'll talk about the roster. A lot to talk about, a lot to unpack here, and we'll have several interviews throughout the course of June and into July. SWAC Football Media Day is 6 weeks from now, so we'll be talking about that as well, getting into football. So as we're into the summer, even though things slow down, hey, there's no rest for the weary. So we'll take a 2-minute time out here. Alcorn men's basketball coach Jake Morton will join us getting connected. He'll be joining us coming up shortly. We'll take a 2-minute break. We'll be right back after this.
Some names immediately evoke an uncommon sense of family, an unmistakable sense of character, an undeniable sense of legacy. Always. Where trailblazers and innovators chart new paths of possibility. Where academic rigor empowers the strength of character to lead with knowledge and integrity. It's a name that harkens back to over 150 years of truly making a difference in our world. Always Alcorn.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the end.
Kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
All right, and we welcome you back. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, on our Facebook post. Alcorn men's coach Jake Morton joining us from his office at the Davey Whitney Arena. Coach Morton, how you doing?
I'm doing well, doing well. Thank you for having me. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but my camera works all week, and we do a different format and try to get on the Zoom. The camera's not quite hooked up, so I'm going for my phone. So hopefully it works out well.
Well, hopefully it will too. A lot to get into. How you settling in so far since you were introduced at the Watermark in Vicksburg?
Well, very few nights I've had a good night's sleep over the last couple of weeks between recruiting, scheduling, getting these guys right, getting them in school. Have not had a lot of time to do anything other than just focus on building this basketball team.
When a new coach starts at a new place, and of course you've been in a few different places, what is that like? The process of moving, the process for those who have families, the process of getting settled in, the process of establishing in a new system, a new university environment, just the way things are done. Everybody does things differently. What is that pace like to hit the ground? Did you hit the ground running or did you hit the ground sprinting?
Hit the ground doing a major sprint. It's overwhelming, to be honest with you. It's just overwhelming in terms of all the things, all the responsibilities, all the phone calls, emails. Getting back to people is a very overwhelming experience, but it's a very enjoyable experience. And then you throw in a move in the midst of that thing, which I don't know if anyone's ever moved before, but moving is always stressful. So with the idea that you have to come here, build a team, meeting new people, different events, and then you throw a move on top of that, just kind of just really just makes things extremely overwhelming. But it's been very enjoyable to this point, very enjoyable.
Well, now with the way college athletics is now, with the transfer portal, when a coach walks into a situation now, you don't know how many players are on the roster when you walk in the door. I've read in certain situations where coach walks in, and at one point there were 0 players on the roster. Everyone is transferred, going to the league, going to different places, and the roster is zilch, nothing there. But that's not the case in our situation, in your situation. That wasn't the case. Talk a little bit about that and just trying to learn everybody and how many players were on the roster when you got here and just trying to get settled in with that.
Well, every day the roster kept dwindling. I mean, when I took the job, we had 9 guys. By the time I got here, we had 6 guys, and by the time I finished talking to everybody, we had 3 guys. So 3 of the players from last year's team decided to stay and want to be a part of what we're going to do and try to take this thing to the next level. I mean, Coach Bussey did a phenomenal job over the last few years. So nothing but my hats off to him and what he's done with this program. But I was fortunate to keep 3. Like you said, you said it earlier, you alluded to this earlier. Most guys walk into these situations, there's no kids that are left. The whole team just kind of disperses and jumps into the portal. And the thing that's so amazing about this portal is everyone thinks the grass is green on the other side. It's not the case. I've had the luxury to sit down with all the guys that were still here. Myself and my staff, we had a chance to sit down and meet with them and talk to them and try to convince them to potentially stay if that was the case. And I just think the sentiment with all these guys is just everyone thinks the grass is green on the other side. So I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I can't answer that question for any one person. But the portal has become a real challenging thing to navigate through. That's for sure.
Well, does that being said, does that mean in a situation where there are coaching changes, yes, on one hand, the roster could be depleted, but on the side of it, there are players in the portal that are looking for a home. Is that kind of the risk reward, the danger, the good, the bad, the bitter, the sweet? Is that kind of the other side of it?
That's definitely a site. There's a lot of risk, a lot of reward, a lot of danger. There's a lot of everything. Everything you just said, you summed up in a nutshell when it comes to the portal. And there's no exact science when you're working out of the portal. We were very fortunate. We signed a bunch of guys out of the portal. We were able to rebuild the roster. Like I said, we kept 3. 3 guys wanted to be a part of it. 3 guys are staying. Just talked to Davion Williams about 10 minutes before we got in this call, having a really good talk with him and just talking to him about expectations and understanding what it's going to take. And I think the young man wants to be really good. He wants to be coached. So he had a great talk with him about 15 minutes before we jumped on this call. And it's a risk reward when you talk about the portal. But hopefully we did well in the portal this go around. I think we did. I like the assortment of guys that we brought in, that we are bringing in. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see. It looks good on paper. Hopefully we look as good as we do today in April. That's my hope.
You have referenced in the times that we have talked, whether it was at the watermark where you were introduced or even here, you've referenced Coach Bussey, our former coach, the last several times. And that doesn't happen. I mean, when a coach comes on, you usually don't reference the previous coach, but you have been very respectful of that whole thing.
It's respect. I respect everything he's done. I respect the things he's done within his program. I respect his grind. It's nothing but respect. The crazy part about Coach Bussey, I've never met him before. I talked to him for the first time, second day on the job. I called him and asked him a question about a player that was here, and that was the first time I ever had a conversation. I don't ever recall meeting him. I never shook his hand. If he walked in his door right now, I would know who he was. But I can look at what he's done over the last 4 or 5 years of him being the head coach here, and my hat's off to him and his staff. He did a heck of a job. There's no doubt about that.
It's one thing to walk into a program in which, as you talked about, the roster's depleted and you're building it from scratch, but you take over a program that has been solid, back-to-back regular season titles, and the expectation for Alcorn basketball, I can tell you firsthand, it's been top-notch and winning championships and going to the NCAA tournament and NIT. That's kind of the level. That's kind of the expectation, and I'm sure you're aware of all those things.
I'm very much aware of that, and that's one of the things I talked about with the president, with the AD, about. I do know that the expectations of what's been done in the past is going to be no different than what you're going to expect from me. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. This program comes with a lot of expectations. It's one of the winningest programs in the SWAC. Six NCAA tournaments, four NIT berths. I mean, I think it's tied for first or second in all-time wins in SWAC history. I mean, this is a program that's expecting to win. So I do understand that, and I take that humbly. Yes, I understand that.
And then coming obviously from Florida State and working under Leonard Hamilton, another program that has been very successful in the ACC. So when you go from one successful program to another, the expectation is the expectation. So you just want to keep that going.
Well, the good thing about the good thing about me is there is an expectation, and this is one of the things I was talking to Davion Williams about. There's going to be a high expectation of understanding and concentration and buy-in. I mean, I'm coming from that environment. That's all I know. I mean, not only did I work for Coach Hamilton at Florida State, I actually played for him. So this is something that's been instilled in me 35 plus years ago. I mean, I met Coach Ham when I was 19 years old when he coached me. He came in. I played at the University of Miami for the late great coach, and Coach Hamilton replaced him after my sophomore year, and I've known him ever since I was 19 years old. The late great Bill Foster, was a great coach. He signed me and brought me to the University of Miami, and Coach Hamilton replaced him going into my sophomore year. So Coach Hamilton's been in my life for. I don't want to date myself. I told you when I met him, so I'm not going to tell you how many years because all the viewers out there know how old I am.
Yeah.
But it's been a long
Well,
time.
what
It's
what
been a
what
long time.
advice what advice has Coach Hamilton shared with you in terms of being a head coach and just learning from him? You played for him, you work for him, and now you're
Yeah.
running the show. What has Coach Hamilton shared with you some advice in terms of now being the passenger in the car to driving the car?
Well, one of the things he said to me, he came to my. It's so crazy you asked that question. He came to my house about a day before the job was actually offered to me. We lived about 10 minutes away from us in Tallahassee, and we were talking about. And he said, just make sure you hire a great staff. He said, because the thing that you're gonna find out, he is so right about this. You're gonna find out really, really quickly all the things that you are good at in terms of recruiting, all the things that made you and made the name and made your name and got you to this point. You're not going to have as much time to deal with it. You have to delegate responsibility to people, and you have to have a good staff. And I think I did a great job with hiring a really good staff. I mean, Devin Smith from Texas Arlington, Adam Braswell from Miami-Dade Community College, bright young head coach, and Mecca Chiser from Cecil Community College, another bright young head coach. I mean, not head coach, another bright young coach from Cecil Community College up in Maryland. So I think I did a great job. I hit home runs with my staff. I think they're showing me that that piece of the puzzle, what he was talking about, is so vital and so important. And that was the first thing he said to me. You got to hire good people that are competent, that can do all these different things that you've been so good at, that you've done for so many years. But now your energy and your focus is going to be redirected in other areas because you are running the whole ship, as you said, alluded to earlier.
And we're talking with Alcorn men's head basketball coach Jake Morton here. I'm Charles Edmond. We've got some interviews coming up here. Brianna Billy will be coming up here in the next couple of weeks. Carlton Hardy, our first-year head baseball coach, to talk with him yesterday. He's got 25 new guys coming in, so we'll be talking with Coach Hardy. He's already excited and grinding and getting ready for the 2026 season. So, Coach, let's talk about the 2025-2026 season, the players. Let's
Yes.
start with the three players that are returning. That was a text. Someone texted me that a few days ago once we put it out that this show would happen. Just talk about the players that will be remaining with the program.
Davion, we alluded to him earlier. Davion is a young man from Vicksburg who we are really, really excited about. I mean, he averaged 25 plus minutes in SWAC play last year, 7 points a game, 7.4 to be exact. And one of the things I was talking to him about was we got to get some of his analytical numbers up, his shooting percentages. He shot 27% from the 3-point line last year, 34% from the field. And these are the things we're talking about, and it's going to be our focus this summer of helping him to improve and get his concentration level up so he can improve in those areas. Talking to him a little bit about the nuances of playing that position, the point guard position. So he's a young man. Amari from outside of Atlanta, he was a young man who was hurt last year. I mean, did really well
Amari
at the
Hamilton.
start of the season. Correct. Hamilton, yep, did really well at the start of the season and was dealing with some foot injuries towards the latter part of it, and having a chance to be with him before school. I got the job a week and a half before school let out. So having a chance to spend some time with him, and we're going to expect some big things from him. And Tyson is a young man that no one knows too much about. Didn't play a whole lot last year, and he's been a guy who I've been talking to a lot this summer. So I think he can. I'm hoping that we can get him to the point where he can be a pretty good contributor for us going forward.
Amari Hamilton at one point was one of the top scorers in the SWAC last year, early in the season, before he got hurt with the plantar fasciitis, and then Tyson.
Correct.
So those three. Talk a little bit about McDaniels, because as you mentioned, he did play a lot, but when he did play, there were games in which he was physical, games in which he threw his body out there and was a very big impact player.
Well, I mean, you said the key word, physicality. we got to get him to the point where he's going to be consistently more physical, consistently doing the things that we need him to do to be successful for us, to help us win some basketball games. But that is one of the things that we've been really harping on with him all summer, physicality, and how important that's going to be. And that's why I'm so excited to get these guys back here, so we get them back in the weight room and get them back on the floor, working and developing and working with them with their mental and their emotional. This is such a big part of these guys being good, their mental and their emotional part of this game, and that's what I'm so excited about, getting these guys back here for that second summer session in July.
One of the things that you mentioned right off the bat was the fact you want to play faster. We've had a defensive-minded mindset, and that worked, but you want to go up tempo. You want to faster. You want to get the game in the 70s and 80s.
Absolutely. When I say up tempo, I mean, obviously, like I said, once again, I have a great deal of respect for what Coach Bussey did in his program and how he did things, how he played. Obviously, it's a style. It was a style that worked. But I just think, for me personally, offensively, I just want to get the ball moving a little faster, and I want to score a few more points. But I think from a defensive standpoint, like Coach Bussey and teams that's been here in the past, I mean, it all starts on defense and in the floor. And we're going to play man-to-man defense. We're going to sprinkle a little zone in there from time to time. But, I'm still not sold. I got to see these guys. I mean, one of the things that we were really, really good at Florida State, it was due to the size of our team. Florida State, if anyone knows much about Coach Hamilton and that program, is consistently, it wasn't this past season, but it's consistently one of the biggest teams in the country. Man for man, tallest teams in the country, longest teams by arm length. We were the second biggest team in the country last year behind Duke. If you guys seen Duke, Duke was like unbelievably huge. And we were second in the country behind them. So I don't know if I'm going to have that luxury to recruit that length and that size here. So if that's the case, if I don't have that luxury to recruit the size and length, we just won't do as much switching as we did at Florida State, where we can switch 1 through 5 because your point guard is 6'7" and can guard a 6'9" post player. So obviously that was a luxury we had because we can recruit size and length, where you didn't get hurt much, if you switch 1 through 5. Not sure if we can quite do that here because I don't have that luxury. I mean, I think we talked about this earlier at my press conference. Relatively speaking, 6'4" should equate to 6'7", 6'8", what we're getting at Florida State. So obviously we won't be able to recruit the 6'7", 6'8" guys, but if we can get those 6'3", 6'4" guys, I think it's all going to be relative to us building that thing and doing the things the way I want to do in terms of switching defensively.
Okay, so about the three players that are coming back: Davion Williams, Hamilton, and Tyson McDaniels. Okay, so now you've hit the ground sprinting in terms of adding to this roster. So let's talk about some of the players that I've reposted some of these signees on X, a 7-2 that we have signed, and so I'm sure you're kind of looking forward to that. So talk a little bit about that, Coach, in terms of some of the players that you have, the new players that you've signed that you can talk about.
Well, you just alluded to one. I mean, you got 7-2 in the SWAC. I hope that equates to something. AB's a young man that started at Florida State. He's a guy who I think could be really, really good in the SWAC. I mean, he can score the ball a little better than people give him credit for. We got to get him to the point where he moves a little better. He can come up on ball screens and hedge ball screens a little better. I mean, there are some areas we're going to have to work with him on, but I am so excited about him. And as everyone knows, I mean, anyone that's constructing a basketball team in this era of the portal, this era of NIL, to get a big guy, it's really hard. Well, it's not hard. It costs a lot of money. I guess it's not hard if you have the money. But it's, it's a different world now with trying to sign big. So we are very, very fortunate that we have a 7-footer that's coming to us that has a lot of potential, a lot of promise. Really, really fortunate for that.
What is his name so folks can be aware?
Oh, I knew he's going to ask you that question. I can't pronounce it. His nickname is AB. So he's from Morocco. It's an Arab name, so it's really, really. I think I need to work on it. There's things I got to work. I got to work on the pronunciation of our school. I got to work on the pronunciation of some of my players. but we call him AB.
How were you able to get him?
Like I said, I mean, Coach Braswell actually coached him in junior college 2 years ago. He knew about him, coached him, brought him to the table. So, like I said, it gets back to my staff and the great job they've done to this point. So, yeah, we had a connection with that. His JUCO coach is one of my dearest friends in the business, a guy I work with. Worked together. We actually worked together for 5 years, and he actually coached me as well. He worked with Coach Hamilton. It was an intertwined deal with Coach Hamilton. Coach Hamilton actually brought the kid to the States and had him first. And he went down to a JUCO in Miami where Coach Braswell was. So he had an unbelievable relationship with him. And, that's kind of how we circumvented that process.
We're talking with the Alcorn head men's basketball coach, Jake Morton. If you have a question, you can text the question 1301-2611. I'm on X, Tall Man Radio. All right, so one of the things that we talk about with bigs today, and when you watch the NBA, you got 7-footers shooting threes. And we're kind of used to 7-footers being in the post.
Exactly. That's something I got to get my mind
around. Yeah, okay, so where will you have him slotted? Will he be shooting threes in the purple and gold, or will he be camped in the post wearing the purple and gold?
He's going to be camped in the post wearing the purple and gold. At 7'2", we better get some stuff around the basket. So we're going to take this back to the old school way of playing basketball. He's not a real physical, rough and tough type of guy, but you're going to be pleasantly surprised with his skill set around the basket, soft hands and ability to make hook shots and use the backboard. He's a throwback guy, old school guy. I mean, he's not a guy that's he's not your new wave. He's not your new wave 7-footer that's going to come down and shoot threes in transition. But he's pretty good around the basket. So to your point, we're going to use him around the basket.
All right, so we can check that off the box. Talk about some of the other guys that you have coming in.
Well, I guess we signed. We brought 12 guys in. All right, so we signed the point guard from Iowa Western, who I really like him. He has a lot of speed, a lot of grit, a lot of toughness. We signed Saxby Sutherland from Chicago State, a young man who I coached at East Carolina, known very well. I think the fans are going to really enjoy him. He's a tough, gritty kid, brings a lot of winning tenacity. I mean, he's one of the few guys, if not the only guy, I'm trying to think, who actually participated in NCAA tournaments. So he's going to bring some of that winning component to helping his team and getting the fabric of our team on that winning track. At the 2-guard spot, Ray Glasgow is a young man from Tennessee Tech, out of the Bronx, New York. I think the fans are going to really like him. A exciting scorer. Jamil Morris is another kid that could play the 1 and the 2, a transfer from FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson University. If you guys remember a couple years, 2 or 3 years back, FDU had that great run in the NCAA, beat Purdue, if I'm not mistaken, in the first round. So, really excited about Jamil. At the 3 guard, the big wing spots, Travis Roberts is a young man from Marist University.
Oh, we lost Coach Morton. Well, he was really getting into it. So we'll take a break right here. We'll take a 2-minute timeout. We'll be right back as we lost Coach Jake Morton, who was going over the new signees. We'll get him back, and we've got a couple of questions already coming in. We'll take a timeout here. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Here, every journey is unique, but no one walks alone. At the Alcorn State University School of Business, we don't just teach business, we always empower visionaries who dare to reimagine it. From day one, you'll forge connections and develop the confidence to lead in a rapidly evolving world. Join a legacy of trailblazers who don't just respond to change, they drive it. Always ahead, always empowering, always Alcorn.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all. If I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Can I get the now bar, please?
$1.
Have a good one.
Got it.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Let me get a now bar.
Sure.
$1.
Appreciate you.
Got it.
And beneficial source of nourishment for babies. And breastfeeding protects our health while reinforcing our bond with our babies. Learn more about breastfeeding through our Milk Leagues. That's MILC Leagues. For more information, visit SheaHealth.org and be sure to follow Shea Health on Facebook and Instagram.
This message was brought to you by the Mississippi Public Health Institute, Mississippi Association of Broadcasters, and the station.
All right, we welcome you back. We've got Coach Morton back. All right, so Coach, you were going back over the last signee that you talked about. Again, 3 guys returning from last year's squad. You've signed 12. So pick up where you left off, Coach.
But before I go there, we're gonna go back to AB because we started the center spot. I went back and I took my time how to pronounce his name. His name is Aladdin Boutaya. So all you guys, AB. It's a tongue twister.
AB.
It's a tongue twist, but it's Aladdin Boutaya. I hope I'm saying Boutaya, but I refer to him as AB, and he's great. He responds right back. You're gonna love him, tall man. You're gonna love him. 2 tall guys together. I can't wait to get y'all together.
It should be a lot of fun.
Yes. So we talk about Travis Roberts. That's where we left off at, right? I think we got cut off there.
Yes.
Travis Roberts is a young man, 6'6". I was telling the fan base, 6'6". Unique story. His mom is from the Philippines, great lady. His dad is from America, and he's a young man who's on the Filipino national team, one of the up and coming great ones for the Philippines. And I think we're gonna get a really good kick out. He can really shoot the basketball, and he's a young man who's transferring from Marist. But I actually signed him at Jacksonville State before I left to go to East Carolina. So very familiar with him, and he's going to be another good piece to this whole puzzle. Shane Lancaster is a young man who started at 6'5", 6'6", kind of a big, strong, physical guard, who started at Niagara. And this is another one of Coach Braswell's great finds. He went to Miami-Dade, battled a lot of injuries, but he's healthy now. So we got him, really excited about him. And this is a name that you guys in this fan base should be excited about. I'm excited about T.J. Small. Oh boy, what a name, huh? Dad, remember his dad, great football player?
Yep. Somebody just texted me about T.J. Small. Andre Young, as a matter of fact.
Did you
talk to him? Yeah. Talk about him. What does he bring to the table? Talk about Small, what he brings to the table.
Tall man. Small brings a lot to the table. You talk about a young man. If I told you his story, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe the story. You wouldn't believe it.
Tell me the story.
We go down to the golf tournament. Okay, we go down to the golf tournament, and this is we go down to the golf tournament down in Biloxi about 3 or 4, maybe about, it was 4 weeks ago, I think it was, and I walk into the golf tournament, and T.J. Smalls walks up to me and introduced himself to me. He said, "Coach, I'm T.J. Smalls. Nice to meet you." I said, "Man, it's nice to meet you. Very, very pleasant young man." And he says, "Nice to meet you." So nice to meet you as well. And you can tell, tall man, when someone's looking at you, walk away, and someone's still looking at you, right? And I can sense him still looking at me. Like he wanted to say more, but I just said hello, nice to meet you, and I kind of walked off. And about 3 or 4 minutes later, his dad walks up to me, who I've never met before. And he kind of introduced himself and told me who he was. I said, "Oh man, it's an honor to meet you." He said, "Did you meet my son?" I said, "Your son? Who's your son?" "TJ." I said, "Hey, actually, I did. I met him a minute ago. Great young man," and boom, boom, boom. And he says, "Coach, he really wants to play for you." So when someone says that, I mean, I get that every day, tall man. My son is really good. My son wants to play for you, right? So now the dad is telling me about his son. And I'm standing there with Coach Smith, one of my assistants, and he said, this is what caught my interest. He said, "My son played in the Army, and he started at Army, West Point, Army." And when he said that, I said, "Really? He started at Army?" He said, "He started at Army." So as I'm talking to the dad, I have Coach Smith. This is the great thing about technology. He just Googles his name, and all this stuff comes up about his stats and what he did. But and Coach Smith was like, "Coach, this kid can play." I said, "Come on, are you kidding?" He said, "No, Coach, he can play." I said, "Well, he can play. Did I hear this right? His dad said he wants to come play." "No, we need to figure out what's going on." He said he wants to come play for us. So make a long story short, I don't talk to the kid again. I mean, I don't see him. He's driving a golf cart. He's like helping out at the event. He's driving a golf cart, and I see the kid on the ninth hole. He's driving a golf cart, giving out waters and like snacks and all these kind of things to people that's playing in the tournament. And I say, "Hey, come here, son. Let me ask you a question." I said, "Did you play at West Point?" He said, "I played at West Point." He told me the whole thing. And when he said that, I had Coach Smith talk to him. I kind of walked off. And I called a buddy of mine who plays Army every year. As a matter of fact, he's at Marist University. And they play Army every year. And I said, "Do me a favor." I said, "Really quick, I need this answer in 10 minutes. I want you to go back to one of your old scouting reports and look up this kid, TJ Smalls from Army, and tell me exactly what you guys said about him and call me back in 10 minutes. He said, "Coach, I'm not in awe." I said, "Man, get a GA. This is really important. Find out, call on your assistants. I know you guys keep that stuff on your computer, so just let me know what you guys thought and said about TJ Smalls." And 10 minutes later, he called me back and he gave me this great scouting report on him. I'm like, so I hit Coach Smith. I said, "Coach, did the kid say he wanted to come here?" He said, "Coach, that's what he said." I said, "Really?" So I said, "Listen," I said, "TJ, when I get off the road, I'm going to give you a call." And obviously, it gives me time to watch some tape and all that kind of good stuff. And it was the easiest recruitment of all time. I mean, I didn't recruit him. He came up to me and said he wanted to play for me. I mean, so I can't take any credit for being this great recruiter and signing T.J. Smalls. I mean, the initial conversation, he shakes my hand and says, "Coach, I want to come play for you." I wish they all were that easy. We'd be in good shape. They're all that easy.
Yeah, yeah. They
But no,
just kind of
TJ, TJ's a
fell in your lap.
Oh my gosh, what a great kid and a nice young man. And I know he just got invited. This big HBCU thing they do in Atlanta is a camp where they invite like 30 of the top prospects in the HBCU, and we got him going to that, and he's been nominated for that. So I'm just excited about it. I'm excited about him because what the things he stands for. I mean, you're getting a young man. Obviously, his dad's unbelievable alumni here at the school and great player in his own right, and you get his son to come here and that is just such a treat for me to coach him. But just the things he's been at West Point for the last 3 years. And if you know anything about West Point, discipline, honor, integrity, he brings all that to the table. And that's the thing that's so impressive about him as a young man. I haven't seen him, obviously watched him on tape and watched video on him, but I have not had a chance to work him out and watch him on the floor. But everything about this kid has been like just a total plus so far, total plus.
Okay, so that's a good story that we'll be talking about throughout the year. So continue down your list of some of your new signees.
Okay, so we talked about TJ. Let's go with Alex Hawkins, a young man who's a junior college transfer. If you notice, all the kids we've named so far, you're talking about a kid from Tennessee Tech, a kid from FDU, a young man from Marist, a young man from Niagara. TJ is from Army. These are all portal guys. Now we have a young man who's coming from a junior college, from Lawson State Community College, Alex Hawkins, who's going to be a great addition. He's battling an injury, And he actually visited down here 2 weeks ago. And one of our hopes for him is that he's going to be healthy. He had a foot injury last year, and he's a little hurt. He's in the boot, so hopefully he's battling that. He was had an unbelievable freshman year at Lawson State Community College. But he got injured in early January of last year. So I just talked to his dad today. He just came out of the boot on Friday. So our hope is he's going to be back healthy, ready to rock and roll by September. And I think he can bring a lot of excitement to our backcourt as well. Alex Hawkins, he's a young man that's from Frederick, Maryland, up in that D.C. area. At the fourth spot, Nick Woodard, who's been our last signee, who I'm really excited about, young man from Georgia, by way, another Portal kid by way of Stony Brook University, out of CAA, a pretty high level of competition. Really excited about him. He's a jack of all trades, can play the 5 to 4 to 3. We can throw him out there in a lot of different scenarios, and really excited about him. We talked about Omari earlier as one of the returners at the fourth spot. The last guy at the fourth spot is a kid by the name of Mike Jones. He's our only high school signee. Mike is over in Italy. Is he an Italy coach or Lithuania? I think he's in Lithuania today. He got selected to the Grind Session All-Star team. For all the people out there, the Grind Session is one of the elite level high school basketball leagues in the country. He goes to Chicago Prep. He's a Chicago native from Illinois, and he was an all-star, got selected to the 12 best players in that league, went over to Europe to play against teams from Italy, Lithuania, and I think Spain. Those are 3 places they're going to go. So that's a heck of an accomplishment for him, and we got him coming to us as a freshman. So really, really excited about him. His upside is off the chain. I mean, he got a chance to be a good one. So, but the hope now with this portal that we can keep him here. So,
Yeah.
but he's a really good player. We talked about Aberdeen. We talked about AB at the starters thing, at the center spot. And really excited about having that length, that size, that 7'2", to protect the rim and rebound the basketball. And we talked about Tyson. So that's the 15 guys on our basketball team. That's all of them in a nutshell. And I did that without
So
cliff
there's
notes. Hey,
so the roster
I got
the
no
roster
notes. So, huh? Say
so
again?
so the roster is full right now. The roster is full.
Correct. We got 15
Coach,
guys.
how were you able
I'm listening.
how were you able to do this? How were you able to pull this off in such a short period of time? You've got a lot of different pieces, a lot of different flavor. I mean, how were you able to pull this off? Because the fans I've talked to, based on the press conference, they're excited, and you were able to get all this different talent in such a short period of time.
Well, I mean, by trade, I mean, I've done it for 25 years. I've been a recruiter. I think that's how I've grinded my teeth in this business. Those are the things I've been known for. I've recruited at the highest level, and it's about reach. It's about having the arm reach to reach and call favors in. And it's been a lot of years, and I've done a lot of favors for people over the years. And now it's time for me to call a few of those favors. I mean, the kid Ray Glasgow comes from one of my dear friends up in New York, who's an unbelievable high school coach. I mean, we had this kid down at Miami, Durant Scott, Dwayne Mitchell was one of my dear friends. I mean, it's just reaching on people and leaning on people that I've known in this business for a long time, and they've helped me. And I said, I alluded to my staff. I have a great staff, and they've done a great job of bringing guys to the table, and it's just been a collective effort. But I said this earlier. I haven't slept a lot. I got a good night's sleep last night. I'm finally moved in and into my townhouse, and last night, this is no lie. I mean, this is all sincerity. This is for all the fans. I got my first really good night of sleep. First good night of sleep in about 5 weeks last night, because it wasn't a situation where I'm making 100 recruiting calls. I was able to go home and put the phone down and go to sleep and turn the TV off and just have a good night's sleep. So it was a lot of sleepless nights to get to that point.
And but you do deserve it, because you hit the ground
Yeah.
sprinting. I mean,
Yeah,
so I mean, at
we
some
didn't
point
have
it does
yeah, we
slow
didn't have
down.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not slowing down. That we still got to get these guys in school, and we're working hard and diligently at doing that. We're still in the office every day. It hasn't slowed down yet. I mean, it won't slow down to after July. It hasn't slowed down yet. It's just a different type of grind now. I mean, it's all a grind. I mean, the thing that gets the most publicity is when you get them on the front end and sign them, but no one knows the stuff that goes behind the scenes. So now there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on that we're doing to get these guys here and get them in school and to keep monitoring their progression, their progress, and I talk to these guys twice a week. I talk to all 15 of those guys twice a week and checking on them, and my staff talks to them twice. So they're hearing from us on a regular basis. You know, one of the things I was talking to Davion about was he said, Coach, you called me so much. I didn't have this kind of, not so much relationship. I just didn't talk to Coach Buster this much. I said, well, I'm a little different, man. I want to talk. I want to know what you're doing. I want to monitor. I want to help you.
Oh, we lost Coach Morton again. So we'll take another 2-minute break. Boy, some good stuff here. You can text the question 601-301-2611. I'm on X Tall Man Radio if you have a question that way. And we got another 20 minutes, so we'll get to your questions. We'll talk about scheduling as well. We'll get to all that after this 2-minute timeout. We'll be right back.
We've always known that education is the pathway to greater understanding. In our School of Education and Psychology, we believe in the power of human potential, both yours and those you'll serve. You'll join a community that has always championed innovation in human development while finding your own unique path to impact. Because we've always known that teaching isn't just a career, it's a calling. Always educating, always inspiring, always Alcorn.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Yeah, I never told you that. You act like he didn't say that shit. That's what you.
Oh, done.
Yeah.
It's okay. I can't run this road.
Make a difference. For free 24/7 confidential support, call the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255 and press 1, or visit veteranscrisisline.net.
All right, we welcome you back. Good stuff from Coach Morton. Coach Morton, your camera is upside down, so hopefully you can get that turned around, and we can get you back on. Again, just for a recap. Oh, there we go. 3 players returned from last year's team: Davion Williams, Amari Hamilton, and Tyson McDaniels. Still a lot of stuff to get to with Coach Morton. Coach, we appreciate you coming back on here. Let's get to some of the questions. We got something from the text line, 601-301-2611. Coach, here's a question. A lot of the kids recruited seemingly are coming from up north. What was the buy-in to get those players to Alcorn and the understanding of the history, the tradition, and the dynamics of the university?
Well, it's 3 things that we sat down as a staff. We talked about these 3 things. All right. In our first year, and this is where everyone can be very helpful going forward. I mean, NIL is a real thing. NIL is a real thing. Did not have that established here, so we didn't have the financial component to compete on the NIL level. Okay. Obviously, the SWAC is, this is the league that we were recruiting to. So we said what we're going to try to do is sign and attract kids that are coming from a little bit higher leagues, maybe a level or 2 above us, that has a certain, like profile, coming from like a mid-major league, and they were like the 7th, 8th man, average 7, 8 points a game, just something along those lines we try to identify kids. It wasn't by design that most of the kids are coming from the Northeast. It just worked out that way when we start working down the list of players that we can get involved with, that those were the kids that were attracted to us, and then we got attracted to them. I mean, we try to recruit kids all over the country. I mean, there was a young man we had committed from California. But as I did more research and I mean, we went all over the country. The only thing we didn't do, I didn't explore in this process was Europe, just because I didn't have the means or the resource at this point to go and make those trips and see kids, what you have to do. I mean, I was at Florida State last year. I took 4 trips to Europe in the month of September and October. So to recruit Europe, you have to go there and you got to be visible. So outside of Europe, we scoured the whole country as well as Canada. And it just happened to work out. These were the guys came from, or the kids, that we actually got came from. But remember, a lot of these kids are not all, but a lot of them are from the transfer portal.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. And that leads into my next question, Coach. Obviously, Braves fans would like to know about recruiting Mississippi. And so talk about the connection, the resources you have there. You got the Davion Williams from Vicksburg. We lost a kid last year that played his final game of eligibility. Got a couple of kids from Vicksburg. What's the game plan in terms of getting more, if you can, more kids from the state of Mississippi, especially in our local areas, Port Gibson, Vicksburg, Natchez, and all over the state?
Well, we're going to recruit the state hard. I can't comment on this one particular young man, but my second signee, not signee, excuse me, my second commitment, I didn't sign him, and we're going to can't talk about it right now. But my second commitment was from a young man who is from Mississippi. He went to Pearl River Community College, and he right now he has something going on he's dealing with that we're going to give it some time to work through. But my whole goal when I got the job was to really identify and attack Mississippi. And the kids that I tried to recruit out of Mississippi, there's a young man from Southern Miss that we tried. There were several kids from Mississippi that, and this gets back to something me and A.D. Robinson talked about this morning about really developing and building our brand. And this is going to sound crazy, but kids from Mississippi who are really familiar with Alcorn, really, really familiar with what we have and what we do, and are not as excited about coming here, which we have to change. Where you take a young man, like you said, from the Northeast, a kid from Chicago, who didn't know much about our university, about our program, about what we do, and when we sold that to them, they seem to be more excited about a young man that's maybe 2 hours away, that knows a lot about us. So that tells me right there that we have a lot of work to do as a basketball staff of developing our brand and promoting our brand. And trust me, we're gonna do that. We're going to do everything in our power to do that. But it's much easier to recruit a young man 2 hours down the road as opposed to recruit somebody that's from the Northeast. I promise you, that was not the intent. That was not what we designed to do coming into this thing. But once we got those semi roadblocks, we had to kind of pivot. And I like the quality of talent that we have coming in, regardless of where they come from. I do like the quality of talent we got coming.
What will be the sell in terms of trying to get more Mississippi kids to come to Alcorn as you go out? And I'm sure you're going to be canvassing the state at some point. What will be the sell in terms of trying to get more in-state kids to Alcorn State University?
Well, I think we have a great sell at Alcorn. I really do. And my whole sell to your question, my whole sell about our university, about Alcorn, has been, the opportunity. And I think a lot of times when you have local kids, when I say local to state, and they know so much about your school, this is the best way to sum it up, okay? We have to make these kids some kind of way, somehow, somewhere. We have to do something that's so exciting and so dynamic that we get these kids thinking about us. Because I don't think kids at the age of 13, 14, 15 years old are saying, I want to participate and compete I want to be a Brave. I want to be a Brave. No, they want to be a Mississippi State Bulldog. They want to be an Ole Miss, whatever, the Rebels. They want to be an LSU Tiger. These are the places regionally that these kids want to go to school. So what I found out in the first week and a half that we were getting roadblocks because these are the places these kids ultimately wanted to go, especially as transfers. So what I did was I pivoted because that was my initial attack, was to attack local and attack regionally. And I took a pivot. We took a pivot as a staff and said, let's go to a region. Let's go to regions where kids don't know much about it, and they will be receptive to hearing about our brand and who we are and what we are. And that's all we did. We just took a pivot because the roadblocks were high and mighty coming through the door.
Yeah. When you were at Florida State being an assistant and you're recruiting and you talked about your international recruiting, what did you hear about the state of Mississippi in terms of the good brand of basketball? You got a coach like Mo Williams at Jackson State who played in Mississippi, a lot of great talent in Mississippi. What did you know about it when you were at Florida State? What did you hear about it?
Well, great brand of basketball, and shout out to Mo up there at Jacks. We gonna give a shout to our friendly competitors up there. He was a great player, great player, and not that I have overwhelming experience in recruiting, but I've recruited Mississippi pretty heavily over my career. I mean, I've recruited Johnny O'Brien out of Cleveland. I've been all up and down the Mississippi JUCO system. This is not obviously here. This is when I'm at different places. I was at the University of Miami. We came into Mississippi to recruit a bunch of guys, and Mississippi has been a fertile ground for great players, So I understand the tradition, I understand the history, I understand the importance of putting up roadblocks. And what we've done in the 26 class, which I cannot comment on and talk about, we've gotten several offers out there already to a lot of the younger guys that, so I can't talk about. But we have several offers to a lot of the right guys in the state of Mississippi going forward. But to your point about the portal, the timing of me getting the job, I just didn't have the time to address what we need to address in terms of our brand to get what we need to get done out of the state in those first 2 weeks. So time was of the essence. We had to take a semi-pivot, but that is not good. Our goal is to get the best players that should come and that are good matches for us here at the university, and that's what we're going to do. And not just Mississippi, Louisiana and Alabama, and all the neighboring states as well.
Coach, a question from the text line. You talked about AB, our 7'2" center. Does he see him similar to Ralph Sampson? I think we talked about it. Is he like Victor Slim, or is he like Shaquille O'Neal weighing 500 pounds? What is he when you see him?
Yeah, whoever that caller was that made it said Ralph Sampson. I hope and pray we got us a little junior Ralph Sampson. I mean, Ralph Sampson was a great player, but he's in the middle. He's not really thin like a Manute Bol, and even Ralph was very thin. Nor is he built like Shaquille O'Neal, who was just a massive mammoth of a guy and big, burly, and just huge, in all areas and all aspects of his body, his arms, his legs, his limbs, his hips. I had a chance to see Shaq. You guys remember those commercials, Icy Hot commercials? Crazy Shaq. Remember Shaq did a promo with Icy Hot about 5 to 10 years ago. And make a long story short, I had a chance to meet Shaq in one of his trailers, shoot one of those commercials, and Shaq's foot was the size of my whole arm. So AB is not as big. He's not as big as Shaq, but he's kind of in the middle of both those guys, Ralph Sampson and Shaq, in terms of his build and his body. He's not overly thin. He's not overly thick and burly.
Well, coaches, we kind of put a capper on. You talked about the three guys returning. Obviously, when you got here, the players that were here, you said you started with 9. Talk about those conversations. I know one of the players, Benet, is at USM, and some others have moved on to different places. But what are those conversations with the players, the 9 or so that were here when you came in? Because you said you started with 9, and then we wound up with 3 from last year. Talk a bit about that, because I know that was kind of an interesting and a tough deal there.
Yeah, absolutely. Benet is a young man who I tried to keep and wanted to keep, but for whatever reason, he said it was nothing personal against me. It was nothing personal against the school. He actually, believe it or not, he's a French kid, and he actually helped me recruit another kid and told him how this is the part that's a little inconsistent, how great the place was, but he tells me that it's time for him to move on. So I didn't quite understand, but he did actually help me try to get a young man who was from France, who he knew really well. But Benet it was about nil. It was about nil, and he was very honest up front. He wanted money, I mean, to keep him, it would have cost us some money to keep him. And like I alluded to earlier, we do not have that in place just yet. Working, I mean, when I got the job, did not have a collective component in place to handle that for him. But he was definitely a young man I was trying to keep. But he had in his mind. I mean, actually, by the time I got the job, he was in the portal being recruited by other people, so I didn't have much of a chance to keep him, to be honest with you. But I still sat
Had,
down with him and I tried to convince him to stay.
has NIL impact some of the players' decisions to stay with the program or go?
Well, all I can tell you about that is like Benet one of them. Marcus, I mean, these kids right here were very, very honest and upfront with me about their reasoning for staying in the portal. They were looking for nil. They were looking for NIL, and could you pay me something to stay? Which is normal upfront conversation that we can have now with these young men. And once again, our collective was not in position, was not in play at that moment to do that. But there, it was about 4 or 5 of them that were very transparent and upfront about that they were definitely looking to make a move based on the money.
I'm sure you appreciate that too. Just the
Oh
brutal
yeah, I
honesty
mean,
of it,
look,
because
no, listen, we brought them all in and talked to every single player, and it was my whole thing to me. Look, we'd love to have you, want you to stay. If it doesn't work out, we can revisit this in a couple of weeks. I'm here, my door's open, but understand if you're telling me this, that you're gonna stay in the portal to look for this, then I have a responsibility to this university and to our brand to try to not so much replace you, but to build this team. And if you're telling me you're going to stay in, you're indirectly telling me that you're not 2 feet in. And I respect it. I respect your reason, but this is what I have to do respectfully to push our brand forward and to push our program forward. And I was very honest with them if they chose to stay in that I was, in essence, was going to try to recruit somebody in their position. So we were very honest on both ends of it. Very honest.
well, talk about the NIL piece now, Coach. As you're settled, and you talked about at your press conference how you want to try to increase that. Just talk about how those conversations. Have you had those conversations with our collective and trying to bolster that?
Well, we definitely have to bolster. We definitely have to get it going. We definitely need help from all the alchemites out there to help support, to donate, to put in to help the collective. And this is a real thing now, guys. I mean, it's a fabric of college basketball. And I say this all the time in all these interviews that I have. I have to taper my expectations. Coming from Florida State, where and we weren't one of the bigger schools in the country that had this tremendous nil, but we had several guys on our team that made over $1 million. So I have to taper my expectations. But relatively speaking to what Jackson State's doing, to what Norfolk State's doing, to what Grambling's doing, to what Alabama A&M, these are all teams that we're going to compete against and that we are competing against. Some of these teams are in our league, Texas Southern, and they all have nil. They all are giving kids nil. They all have a component of that is very live and active and is helping them in their recruiting prowesses. And we have to, as a collective group, as a family, we have to, as a brave family, we have to understand the importance of that and help to give and donate towards that. So all of our sports will have a competitive chance to recruit and get the type of players in our programs that we can be successful with. That is a really, really big piece to the puzzle right now. It wasn't as big 2, 3 years ago, but it's a real thing now. It's a real, real thing. And like I said, I just named 4 or 5 schools that are in our league. And Norfolk State, obviously a competitor of ours. I mean, these are the guys that I'm trying to compete with. I want to compete with Norfolk State. Why is that? Because Norfolk State has been the flagship HBCU in basketball, the flagship. I mean, Norfolk State, Howard. We're playing Howard this year. Howard has won the MEAC 2 out of the last 3 years. Norfolk State has won it 2 out of the last 4 years. These are the schools that I'm trying to keep our program in line with. So this is how we're going to get this thing to where we want to get it.
Well, let's talk about scheduling now. That's a good segue, Coach. Last time we talked, the obvious question is, will Alcorn play Florida State? And at the time, he was kind of going back and forth, negotiations, contracts. Here are the first week of June. Where does that stand?
First game of the season, Coach Luke Louts, please take it easy on us. I'm just playing. No, we are playing the first game of the season. I'm just playing about Coach Luke Louts. Take it easy on us. I mean, we're going to go down there with the mindset and the determination to try to be the best we could be that particular night. We played them November 4th to open the season at Florida State, a game that our kids are excited about, a game that our fan base should be excited about, and let's just see what happens. Let's roll the balls out and see where we are.
What games can you talk about as far as non-conference is concerned? And we do have a non-conference home game this year. Talk a little bit about that if you can.
We do. South Alabama, we're going to play them at home this year, which is a great thing. Like you said, we talked about Florida State to open the season. We're going to play Minnesota at Minnesota. Howard. We got a series started with Howard. I told you, I want to see where we stand. Howard is a flagship HBCU in men's basketball the last 3 to 4 years, going to 2 back-to-back NCAA. So I want to see how we match up with that. So we go on the road to Washington, D.C. to play Howard, elite program out of the MEAC, which would be a great test. They return the game the following year. In that same road swim, we're going to play the University of Maryland, which we all know that's going to be an unbelievable test. You got a new coach, Coach Buzz Williams, a new coach coming from Texas A&M, great program, went to the Sweet 16 this past season. The following week, we're going to head down to Baton Rouge and play those Tigers, the LSU Tigers, which is going to be exciting for our fan base down there in Baton Rouge. Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Sooners. We don't have that. You should have that done this week, but I think Oklahoma will be on the schedule. We've got to kind of finalize some things with them. Who else we got? Well, Iowa State, another Sweet 16 program last year. Great program. Those guys have done an unbelievable job over the last 4 or 5 years. One of the elite level programs in the country over the last 3 to 4 years. I mean, in terms of winning percentages and doing well at the Power 4, Power 5 level. Got those guys on the schedule. Who am I missing? We got to still schedule one more. Ole Miss. Coming out of the Christmas break, we got Ole Miss, the Ole Miss Rebels, who I'm saying it's a lot. Like, what was I thinking about? I mean, a lot of these teams we're playing this year, competed in the Sweet 16 last year. What am I thinking about? I mean, you talk about a tough schedule. but the Ole Miss Rebels will finish out our non-conference on December 29th. So we play those guys on December 29th of this year, and excited about that opportunity and thankful to them to play us. Was trying to get Ole Miss on the. I mean, not Ole Miss, trying to get Mississippi State on the schedule, could not make that work. You got LSU. I mean, the 3 teams I'm going to always try to play every year is LSU, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss. And maybe that, in my philosophy and my thought process behind that is, maybe that will help with what we talked about earlier about in-state recruiting and having an opportunity to get our name and our brand out there, playing against brands that people definitely recognize and know. So maybe we can do some great things against those guys to kind of blend our brand. Not so much blend our brand, but have our brand compete and show that we got a pretty good thing going down here with us.
Coach Jake Morton joining us. So, Coach, one more question. Here we are, the first week of June. What is on your calendar in terms of what you got going on here in the month of June? You said the players will be on campus in July, so in another few weeks.
Correct.
But what's the calendar for the next few weeks?
Well, it got the job a little bit late. All right, no fault to anybody. Just the way it kind of played out. Got started very, very late. No fault to anybody, just because of how the portal dates ran this year. So we got a lot of these kids late, and as we know with transfers, like I said, we got a lot of transfers coming in. We gotta run down and track down transcripts to get them in school here and get them qualified here. So that's been the focus the last week. Is getting transcripts and getting kids as a process here in terms of putting them in arms and getting everything that they need from a transcript standpoint. So that's been our whole focus. That's been our staff's focus. We're just running transcripts down and getting everything we need so these young men could be qualified to play here next year.
So the players will be there in July. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure that first week it's going to be pretty intense trying to get things going right away.
Well, it is. I mean, it is, and I'm excited about it to get a chance. Tallman, I don't put a lot of emphasis on on scout, not scout, on recruiting services and what people say about your recruiting class. But I think if you look across the country and you kind of identify a lot of these HBCU sites that rank recruiting, I mean, like I said, we're in there with a lot of these schools that have tremendous nil, have more established more established situations because the coach has been there longer. And I think we've done a pretty good job this year with putting a class together that can compete with what most people at this level, the HBC, the MEAC, the SWAC level, are doing. And I'm excited about that. And I like the personalities of this group and this team. So it's just a matter of getting them down here and getting to work with them. I'm really excited about that. Getting them in school and getting them down here to work with. Really excited about that.
And one final question, Coach. I know Braves fans ask this of just about every coach. What can fans do to help support men's basketball?
There's 7,000 seats in this arena. Butts in the seats will help us. Butts in the seats. We have home games. I can't look out there and expect that we have a competitive advantage. We got 2,000 people in the stands. I mean, we got to fill these seats. We got to put fans in the seats, help these young men, create an environment. This is such a special place. And you alluded to this earlier about all the winning and the traditions. And we talked about 6 NCAA tournament appearances, 4 NITs. We talked about one of the winningest programs in the SWAC. We have to create an environment when people come down here, they, butts in the seats. So we can kick butts out of here. Butts in the seats. Butts in the seats. That is yes.
Well, and that, of course, the winning, and you talked about the non-conference schedule. There, once conference play starts, Coach, there are 3 more road games we got to deal with, and we talked about it at Jackson State, at Alabama State, and at Alabama A&M to start conference
Yeah,
play.
Paul, man, you alluded that to me. You told me that at my press conference, and I need to email the commissioners. Like, what did we do to you guys? Like, I mean, are you trying to send me a message? What's going on here? I mean, we got such a tough schedule to start this thing on the road. Woo, we got to find a way to survive it. But I will say this to all the fans, and this is how I look at it. This season is going to be broken up into 3 seasons for me and for our staff and for our team. And obviously, the first season being a non-conference season where I just named off about 4 or 5 teams that participated in NCAA. I mean, excuse me, the Sweet 16 last year. So that just tells you how tough and how hard that non-conference schedule is going to be. It's competitive, it's tough, it's challenging, and we're going to find a way to get better through that non-conference season. That's the first part of the season. The second part of the season is our conference season, and we got to find a way to be successful and compete and do our thing in our conference season. And the third part of the season, which I'm not going to say the most important part, but it has the most important prize, and that's the conference championship, where if you can win that, it's an NCAA berth. So, I think we have to find a way to win 2 out of 3 of our seasons, and that's how I'm going to attack this. I mean, because here's the thing. If you win 2 out of 3 of your seasons, if you win your first part of your season, then you give yourself a chance to be at a large, bid. You can go 8-2 in the first part of your season. You're one of the top 20 teams in the country with that schedule. Okay, you find a way you can win your conference championship, your regular season championship. That's a win within itself. And then obviously we talked about that. That potentially creates postseason opportunities for you. And then obviously if you find a way to win your last part of your season, which is your conference championship, that's an automatic berth. So if you win that, you're in there, and that's an automatic berth.
Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the formula for success, according to head coach Jake Morton. Coach, we really appreciate your time, taking some time out of your schedule, and we'll be talking down the road.
Tall man, you've been the best. Anything I do to help you, let me know. And like I told you earlier, I can't wait to get you and AB together. I love to see those tall guys just kind of chopping it up. Now I will say to you, hey, tall man, he's gonna tower over you now. He's gonna tower. He's 7'2", pushing 7'3".
I don't look up to very many people, Coach. That's going to be an interesting situation.
Absolutely. But I do appreciate
Coach, we
you
appreciate
having me on here. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate you as well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Alcorn head men's coach Jake Morton joining us. We'll be talking down the road as the schedule gets finalized. He already gave you some of those sites and games. LSU, you've got Ole Miss, and of course crisscrossing the country. That'll do it. A special interview with Braves head basketball coach Jake, our producer Cedric Tillman, Jamario Brooks. I'm Charles Edmond. We got Brianna Billy in the pipeline, and we've got Carlton Hardy, our men's baseball coach. Got 25 new players coming in. Looking forward to talking with Coach Hardy. It was a tough first season, but looking forward to year 2. That'll do it. I'm Charles Edmond. We'll talk to you soon. So long.
Thanks, Charles, man. Thank you.